Hey, what up, y'all? Hope you can hear me. Hope this is audible. If you can't hear me, let me know. Let me know if the sound is working. I'm gonna go test over at my private window. Let's find Jefe. What's Jefe doing? All right, this is some fucking uh, weird ass ASMR. Okay, now I'm seeing myself. Yo, this is Jeff. I'm about to read some shit. Here I go. Sounded like a clip briefly. All right. Chapter 9. Sophris. Joran, Sophris called out in his mind. Grundle, please respond. The captain's team, Sophris included, were surrounded. On all sides, green shirts, accompanied by gold armband wearing militiamen, were slowly snaking through the crowd, occasionally throwing citizens out of their path. Some complained, a few were beaten badly. At the head of one of those, at the head of one of the guards rode the insufferable Basque. At the head of the line of guards, I should change that. At the head of the line of guards rode the insufferable Bascom, seated atop a gorgeous fire red stallion, gleaming in his gold plate armor. Back at the docks, Joran had pointed him out as the captain of the guard. Captain Thraxus had spoken with him earlier. He'd passed him a bribe so they could travel unmolested. Apparently, that order had been rescinded. The captain roared to them as they took cover behind rows and rows of stacked cargo, next to a trailer truck and a stable. The horses were animated, puffing, snorting, stamping in their pens. A trio of baton wielding militiamen rapidly approached the crew from along the west wall, roughly tossing citizens out of their path and wearing menacing expressions. One shouted at the crew, Oi! The captain directed Faline and Ramsdell to face the militiamen. There's something I wanted to do, which was share this on my Facebook page. The sound was bad, so I'm doing it again. All right, here we go. Militiamen. Meanwhile, the workmen with the crew had backed up and seemed to be unsurprised by this turn of events. Bascom bellowed out at the Bascom bellowed out at the captain. Captain Thraxus, you are summoned to the Avandi's chambers. Please, come with us. The captain snarled. Fuck off, Bascom. We have urgent business with the Brothers of Light. Mention of the brothers seemed to surprise the smug guardsman. He shook his head and slid his powered lance into its holster behind his saddle. He turned to one of his lieutenants, a large man with a very large rifle held against his chest. Is this true? First I've heard of it, sir. Bascom looked back at the captain. Tell your crew to relinquish their weapons. If the brothers are to meet you, they can come to the palace. The captain scoffed. He stepped out into the clearing ringed with guardsmen. Sophris felt Ramsdell's fear and his fury. The man's good eye was darting behind his visor, looking for an escape route. The words tunnel and corner came to his mind. Sophris attempted to calm him. It was unsuccessful. Gillamorian's are notorious curmudgeons by nature and possessed vast reserves of psychic resilience. They were renowned for their stubbornness and irascibility. Faline, on the other hand, was positively frantic. Outwardly, she projected intense concern, agitation, desperation. Strangely, however, her mind was calm. A Yafridi pose, perhaps. Project weakness while plotting the enemy's destruction. Joss cocked his head to the right, imperceptibly. Once, twice, then a nod. Sophris had been drilled on their coded signals. The message was simple: fuck these guys up and run around the corner. But Faline wasn't leaving her captain. She knocked Joss in the back with her weapon, a nasty modified submachine gun with underbarrel grenade launcher. One shot from that thing would tear open just about anyone unfortunate enough to get in its path. "Captain!" she shouted. "We have to get out of here!" The captain stepped forward, lowering his weapon. At least a dozen guns were trained on his person. "All right, Bascom, you got us. But at least let these guys do their work." He gestured to the workmen standing near a large blue machine, some kind of cherry picker type device. Sophra saw men coming around from that direction as well. Bascom disembarked his horse and holstered his powered pistol. Sophris could hear the buzz as it powered down. The smarmy, mustached man extended a gauntleted hand. The captain did not return the gesture. Bascom kept smiling, gesturing to the line of men coming up on the workers. They grabbed the three and pulled them away. The cargo sat there on the sleds, silently mocking them all. At that moment, a bird screeched raucously above and behind them atop the high wall. The guardsmen and militiamen all looked up. Faline took her chance, firing a grenade into the chest of the middle militiaman. His chest exploded. He stumbled back, dead on his feet. A gargantuan plume of gore burst from his back in a cloud of red mist. The two men beside him tumbled away, shrapnel from the grenade peppering their jackets. Then all hell broke loose. What? I love this fucking book. Hell yeah. All right. That was 9. This is chapter 10. 10. Grundle. Grundle! Portillion was not okay. His hand hung at a weird angle, and the wand was snapped clean in two. He was half screaming, half crying. Gods, these wizards were weak. Gods, these wizards were weaklings. He thought briefly of leaving him there, or punching him in the head. Then he thought better of it. He crouched down beside the boy. "Listen, I'm gonna go put this out. Just sit tight." Portillion struggled to sit upright, wincing and clutching his wrist with his other hand. Grundle steadied him as he did so. "Go then." Grundle nodded and then rushed the stairs, throwing open the door. He heard the snap of the hinges as the door fell to pieces, taking 3 steps at a time. He bellowed as he ran just to get his blood going. As he reached the landing, the smoke was intense. It was hardly visible, but the particles immediately coated the inside of his throat and nostrils. He gagged but thanked his Vorok ancestors for his resistance to environmental effects. His lungs burned as the specialized skulls His lungs burned as the specialized cells trapped and broke down the particles with caustic enzymes. Thundering and hollering, he blasted through the metal door and into a conflagration of smoke and fire. Paying no heed, he rushed to the center of the flames. His clothes were erupting off his skin, his eyeballs cooking in his skull. He tuned his visor to find the source of the heat. It was a malfunctioning gearbox. It was spewing white hot flames in a huge jet 10 feet across the room. Grundle was pretty sure he was fucked, but all the same, he lugged the water sack from his back and shot the mechanism, squeezing as it blasted from the nozzle. He choked and gasped, his whole body rumbling backwards by inches as the water sprayed in a tight circle at the base of the jet. Steam filled his vision, so the only thing he could see in the digital readout was the red line of massive heat continuing to pour out. Just then, water came down like a torrential rain. The sprinklers! Portillion must have found a way to activate them. Grundle smiled as the water cascaded around him, steam continuing to billow as the fire slowly died out. Less than a minute later, Portillion struggled through the door, still clutching his broken wrist. Grundle laughed and cried, tears being washed away by the lukewarm rain. Portillion's stern face cracked, and then they were both laughing. They had saved the day. Grundle grabbed Portillion around the shoulders and whispered into his ear. "You're a hero now, Portillion. How does it feel?" Hell yeah. That was 83. Where's 84? Okay. So that was chapter 10. This is chapter 11. Okay. Chapter 11. Grundle. Grundle! Portillion was at the window, its whole frame black with char. Water continued to drip down from the ceiling. "The prize! Quickly!" Portillion threw a leg out the window and started to crawl down the outside of the tire. And prepared to crawl down the outside of the tower. Grundle grabbed him by the scruff of his robe and held him close. "Stop. It's too late." Through the crowd of panicked citizens, they saw them. A circle of heavily armed goons, complete with riot shields and short lances. Powered by the looks of them. Inside the expanding circle, a gigantic mech nearly twice the size of Grundle was tearing the cargo apart, looking for the prize, a human-sized cylinder wrapped in a dirty red blanket. "Fuck!" Portillion was livid. He turned to Grundle, spittle flying from his lips. "They're taking it!" Grundle sighed. He searched his mind for Sophris's consciousness. "Sophris, Grundle, we've lost the prize." No one answered. Shit. The sprinkler must have run out of water as the rain had stopped. Grundle could feel it seeping into his boots. Portillion watched his face for any sign of communication. Grundle shook his head. Portillion's whole frame slumped. He slid halfway down the wall, then jumped forward to his feet. The back of his robe was scorched and black with soot, a neat impression of his figure remaining on the crumbling wall. "Well, what now?" Fucking heroes, motherfucker. I love heroes. What do you think of this police state? Fucking police states. Chapter 12. Faline. Faline had been shot. Blood poured down the right side of her torso. Her right arm was limp, her submachine gun swinging on its strap as she ran. The trio were sprinting at breakneck speed. Sophris was using a split consciousness to study the path ahead, then sending back orders. He looked back to see Faline shooting wildly behind her with a pistol. Jump! Ahead, Joss jumped over a stirring homeless man. Duck! He slid sideways, narrowly missing an exposed pipe. Sophris followed him, ducking the pipe and diving around a corner. Faline slipped and slammed into the homeless man, who was shouting about being woken. Woken up? I'm not sure. She cracked him one in the head and kept going. Right, left, right, stairs. The orders kept coming as they flew through the alleys of Thermopylae. Behind them, they heard the guardsmen shouting out orders. The shouts were ahead of them now. They had been flanked. Sophris corrected and found an open window. Window! Go! Joss crouched. Joss crouched. Faline bounded off his back and through the window, pistol aimed straight ahead in case someone was inside. Sophris helped Joss up, then lightened and hopped inside himself. Joss hunkered down to hide. Sophris shook his head. Aiming further, he pushed. Go! 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 Aiming further inside. Sorry, I'm editing this as I go. Go! 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 Faline drove through the dark into the warehouse's interior. Outside, the guardsmen and militia found each other and were arguing over where the three had gone. Sophris scanned the warehouse, looking for any escape. Their one shot was to reach the front door and hope no one was covering it. They tore from room to room, hustling for the front door. It was locked. What? Pretty crazy, huh? All right, folks. See you next time. I'm going to record one more of these if anybody's interested. But tell your friends. Jefe's reading his book. Yeah. Whatever. Shattered Worlds, day 1. See you next time. Peace.